Miss Karianne, how
Hi.
are you, you fabulous lady?
I am fabulous. No, I feel good. It's been a good week. It's Friday.
Woo!
Yes.
Friday. We love Friday. Yes. Well, thank you for joining me again. This
Yes.
is
Back again.
awesome. It's been a little over 2 months, and the last time we got together was you joined me to share your three goals after Squat Up, and and we went off on some little bunny trails like we do. It's just the way it is, but it was wonderful stuff.
Yeah. All good.
So many golden nuggets there. But I love the way that you were approaching your goals. You were looking at them as short term, mid-term, long term.
Right.
So now we're back to see how things went. You're going to provide an update. And so I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Your short-term goal. So your short-term goal, you actually were working that short-term goal at Squad Up,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't even after the fact, like you were doing it that week. You were in it. You had a goal to connect with people during that time. And so you talked about that a little bit, but how's it been going since then, right? Because it's great to be in the moment where you're face to face with people and making like really seeing, okay, are we vibing? Are we really having a good connection here? And so then now it's been some time since Squat Up. How are those connections going?
So, one of the best things about conferences like that is the excitement, right?
Yes.
Like you said, there's a lot of, I'm going to meet you and I'm going to get to know you. And so many people that you do get to feel their vibe. It's great. It
Yes.
is the follow up that creates the actual friendship, the actual relationship. So, the people that I met there that I thought this is someone I could work with, I had three or four specifically. Um, One of them, we were partnered to do a multifamily in Maine, and that I looked into some socioeconomic factors, decided not to do it, but now we're looking at two other things together.
Okay.
So because I like to be organized. Like I line up my pantry with a ruler. It's who I am. We'll
Ooh.
say slightly OCD. But I was like, if I'm going to make connections, I want them to be something where it's not just like, no, they're really great.
Yeah.
I want them to be a connection. My partner Matt, he's my multi guy. He's done multis. His name's Matt Peck. He's amazing, and we connected there. We had one phone call. We went to dinner, and now, like, he just invited me up to Toronto to go to a conference with he and his wife where he's speaking, and he's like, "Let's see how we get you there." So he's the guy that I wanted to connect with on that front. Mostly because a lot of the connections that we see, while they may be nice and I can see how they fit into my business, if they don't speak to us like on a deeper level, there has to be a matchup for me of integrity, values, and what our long-term goals are.
Yeah.
If even our mindset, like I met some people who are amazing people, but they're like, I'm more just kind of a background player. I just
Uh,
want to support my team this way. This is my place and this is what I like. Love that for you.
yeah.
It's not me. So
Yeah.
we can be friends, but they're not going to be someone. I don't want to drag someone to a place they don't want to be.
Right.
I want
Right.
people who are like, I'm jumping on that train with you. And so that's who I have, like, where I was like, I want to connect with them, and we are doing that. I have someone else that I really wanted to connect with who is newer in private money lending and has a lot of questions, and so I'm guiding him through that, and he's now lending on a couple of deals that
Nice.
that we work together, and we're going through his self-directed and getting I helped him get that set up to a place where he can invest that and feel safe and secure. And it all
Yeah.
started with meeting in person and Squad Up. But then, we've had monthly follow-up phone calls, which is what I do with all my PMLs. But with him, that was a specific thing because we had spoken before Squad Up.
Yeah.
And then I had met and had conversations previously again with Katie Langford, who started the Women's Trailblazers group like a year ago. And she said, we have a thing. I would like you to help me grow this. We've more than doubled our numbers since I started helping her with that. I'm now a founding member with her, and we're restructuring and amping up all these things to where now I'm a partner in this, and we're going to be launching retreats and one day kind of masterminds and all these sorts of things, because that's another spot I really wanted to be able to focus on the women who are real estate investors, because we're
Yeah.
different. We just are. We think differently. We approach things differently. And so I want to help grow and build a space for women where it's like, come here and say the thing that you're afraid to say
Yeah.
to your husband or your male partner, where it's just like, this sounds crazy. Doesn't sound crazy to us because we're not crazy. We just think of things differently
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
in a beautiful way. And that's why a lot of men, I mean, Pace Morby included, many of his kind of right-hand people, they're women. And it's
Oh,
great to
yeah.
have that balance, but those different opposing views where it's just we approach things differently. So
Right.
I'm growing that. Yeah, I'm great at follow-up. So
I
that's one
love
of my
it.
strengths. I like follow-up, and I don't have a lot of talents, but two of my talents that I'm really good at is I'm really just good at connecting to people because I love meeting people and I love building relationships with people and communicating with them.
Yeah.
Like, so that's, I think, why I'm successful at what I do, because I
Mm-hmm.
just genuinely enjoy being with and speaking to and helping all these people around me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're on a podcast. It should be a long answer. There's my long answer. It's going well.
Well, I think you might have even really segued into your midterm goal too, because I remember you talking about the Women's Blazers group
Mhm.
and the follow-up part of it. You were going to have weekly calls with the teams that you were connecting with, and so you kind of went right through short term and midterm, and to be now a founding member of the Women's Trailblazer group, that's awesome,
Yeah.
right? Because it's been around for a year, and honestly, I had not heard about it. I don't recall hearing about it until you introduced me to it. So that says something about the impact you're making on that it's, you said doubled.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
we're almost at 1,000 members. Like, we're just shy. We're super close.
Yeah.
And we were like mid to upper fours at Squad Up. And I just, when something is so good and brings so much value,
Yeah.
at least for me, like, I can't help but talk about it. If
Yeah.
I'm excited about it and I see what it can do for people,
Right.
I'm yeah, I can't help it. I can't help
Yeah.
it. I want everyone to get on the bus with me. Like, if we're gonna go
Yeah.
to a really good time, I want everyone on the bus. I don't wanna have a
Right.
really good time by myself.
Right.
That is not
Exactly.
a really good time.
Exactly. You're inclusive, right? I mean, that's the thing. That's a strength. I'm pretty sure that's one of the strengths on Strength Finder. Have you done your Strength Finder 2.0 or Clifton Strengths?
I have done my Clifton Strengths.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's all the same.
I found
Yes.
parts of it super, super annoying, but
Oh.
you can't have things that are too opposite and say, "What are you more? Like, do you love dogs or do you hate oranges?" And I'm like, "That has nothing to do with each other." Like, how do you expect me to choose? I love dogs and hate oranges the same. Like, I don't know. It is inclusive is not one of my like top 5 are
Yeah.
positivity, strength, communication, not strength, positivity, belief, woo, um, communication, something else.
Okay. All right. A lot of mine are in the execution area. So that was something that really stood out when I went ahead. So I did the 7 years ago. I got
Right.
my top five, and then I decided to go ahead and pay the fee to get the rest of the strengths. And I'm glad that I did
Yeah.
because it really opened it up a lot more for me because we all have more than just five strengths, really.
Right.
And what I really liked about it was that there were things that they were talking about that I never thought of that were I never considered it a strength, right?
Right.
So I was
Well,
like,
because
really? Being a relator is a strength? I don't
right.
know, but
Well, but
that's one of my strengths.
for people who don't have that,
Yeah,
it very much is. Because
yeah,
on the opposite of relator is someone who's just like, "It's my way or the highway."
yeah.
No
True,
one loves that a lot.
true. Yeah,
But then you have people like you who are relators, and you're like, "No, but I understand their perspective."
yeah.
I am not a relator. I can be like, "I understand it. I just don't really like it."
I have no patience for that.
I have no response to that. I don't. Well,
Uh,
and even when we're working with people, like, that's one of the cool things is we all with Trailblazers, the 3 of us, um, Caitlin Beals is in it too, and she's like our operator and she's keeps us on track.
yeah,
But we all did our strengths and put them up to see where it's like, here's where we fit. And here's how we work together. And it's really great to be able to see where it's like, here's where conflict could happen
yeah,
so that we can then preemptively nip that in the bud before it's like, here's what happened. And now we're emotional because we are women.
yes,
We get emotional. It's a
right,
thing. And so if we're able to do that before with clear minds, clear heads, and just say, if this comes about in the future, how do we deal with that?
right,
Because conflict resolution in a partnership, in a marriage, in a relationship, in a friendship, that is huge. If you can't resolve your differences in a
yeah,
constructive way, you're going to lose all of your
yeah.
relationships. So,
Right.
I think relator is congrats to you.
Thank you. It totally floored me. I looked at that and I was like, what the heck does that mean? I don't like people. What is it talking about? I don't even, and
Like,
then seriously, that was my first reaction. I'm like, relator, what does that even mean? I had to go back to the book and look. And then I was like, oh yeah, okay. The people I like, I love.
right.
Right? I
We'll
could
see, like,
totally see the other perspective, all of the things it fit perfectly. And I was like, you know what? Okay, this is
I
my strength.
am.
This is my number one strength. I am gonna own this.
I'm gonna relate
And
the heck out of this, man.
yes, exactly. Oh yeah, I owned it. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna embrace this for sure. And it's funny because um once I embraced that, it actually I actually did feel better. I think that there was part of me where I had some friction because I didn't I didn't recognize that. And then I wasn't playing to that strength. And so it was just kind of like bumping heads. I had a
right,
yeah, and now it's like, okay, now I know what I'm doing. So now it's not to say that that's always on, right? Because I think depending on the situation, the people, your different strengths are going to come out, right?
right,
It's based on the scenario that you're in and the people that you're with. Also, you're reacting to other people playing hopefully to their strengths as
Right.
well. So then if everybody's playing to their strengths, everybody's productive, they're in their empowered state, and the energy is great, and you can get so much done, and oh, peace in the world. If we could all just play to all of our strengths, peace in the world, we'd have peace all over. But oh well,
As
I
long
can
as you have
dream.
good strengths. Like, what if it's like your strength is you're a great liar? Like that'd be bad.
Oh, I don't think I saw that in the book.
It may not be. I didn't look at all the strengths. Well,
There's
and
a
I
manipulator one. I know there is. No.
there's got to be. There are some people who are so good at that. Um,
Oh yeah.
I think it's, but see, like you look at relator as something that's not that strong, but
Right. Yeah.
it's all in context.
True.
Like we're the most prepared person to help the person we used to be or to help the people behind us.
Yes.
So, and it's the weird idiosyncrasies or weaknesses or tendencies that we just think are strange about us, where it's like, I'm a weirdo. I like this. That's how people connect to us.
Right.
It's like, oh, I struggled, I struggled with eating disorders. And
Mm.
I've had people who did not know me
Yeah.
and would make comments about you're so fit, you don't know what it's like to be overweight or to hate your body. And
Mm.
then when they get to know me and it's like I am this person because I was not this person.
Yeah.
And because I went through that while it was a hard time and while it was a struggle, I can now help those people who haven't gotten past it. So
True.
that's where I think a lot of our really great moments, if we're able to look into the past of what happened, a lot of beautiful times in our lives come right after the trial or right after the hard
Yes.
thing because we've
Yes.
grown and we've become something new. We're not the same person we were. And if we can just take that and realize that as we're looking at goals, because they're not just goals for no reason.
Right.
They're a goal to get us to not only a new place, but to be a new person. No one
Hmm.
wants to be like, I don't want to get 20 years down the road and be on a podcast with you and being like, I mean, things are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
That would be the worst thing in the world. I want to get 20 years down the road. And if we still have podcasts, I will be here.
We'll
But
be on TV.
goodness sold.
We just called it right here. We will be on TV in 20 years.
But it'll be
I
like
don't know what kind
implanted
of
in people's
TV.
in people's corneas or something. They'll just watch.
I know.
But like
Yes.
I want to be a different version of myself. And so like
Yeah.
that's why goals in this conversation is so cool because it gets you to a new frame of mind and then it gets you to a new place. You develop new behaviors, you develop new relationships, and then down the line whether it's small or big things happening, you become this whole new version of yourself with all this potential that 5 years ago you had no idea you could be.
Oh, right. Exactly. Exactly. God, you said so many wonderful things there.
You're
Oh,
so
where do I even begin? Where do I even begin? No, seriously, I had so many different ideas as I was listening to you. I was like, oh, that's good. Oh, yes. Seriously, so good stuff. I think that we did talk about this a little bit, I think last time, where these goals are meant to be just outside of your reach,
right.
right? Because if you're not setting goals for yourself, I'll take it the other way. If you're setting goals for yourself that you could do tomorrow, then that's not a goal. That's just another task.
That's a to do.
That's not that's a to-do.
Right.
That's not something that you can reach for. I think part of being a human actually is striving to be the best version of yourself. If we, and I think I'm going to say it, I don't know if you'll
Do
agree or
it.
not. I have a feeling you will.
Do it.
I think we've lost that in our society now, where there is no looking for me to be better. It's, oh, I need to accept who I am now, and you need to accept who you are, and you need to accept who I am now. Nobody needs to be better at anything. There is no better. It just is. And that, I'm sorry, in my humble opinion, that is depressing. That is saying that I am stuck for the rest of my life where I'm at right now. There is no hope for anything better because better doesn't exist. And that is why there's so much sadness, so
Mhm.
much unhappiness in this world because and maybe I'm making it too simplistic. I'm not taking away from anything else
No,
going on.
no, I think not only do I agree with you, but I think it's even I will take it a step further to where the adversary, whatever you wanna call it, the adversary wants us hopeless. Because
Yeah,
if you are hopeless, you are hopeless.
exactly.
And if we don't have hope, we have no desire to change. And if
Right.
we're told you're fine the way you are, we're not fine the way we are.
No.
We all have things we need to work on. And it's overcoming those things that makes us happier. It's achieving that makes us feel good. Like
Yes.
it's the morning discipline of I got up at 5 today and I read my scriptures and I read this amazing new self-development book and I wrote in my journal and I prayed and I meditated.
Yeah.
And that discipline makes me better. And I
Right.
feel good because I'm working on something. And the adversary would have us say, "No, you're fine. You don't need to work on anything," which is sad, which
Yeah.
is hopeless. And if we're not working to become better, our society goes down.
Exactly.
And so we
Exactly.
need to say, not that we aren't amazing, because we are.
Yeah.
It is the potential. We have
Right.
amazing, it's like with a kid. Are they amazing as a 2-year-old? Yeah, but they're
Yes.
not an amazing college student, but they have the potential. You
Yes.
know, I have young kids. Are they amazing parents? No,
Right.
but there's things in them that I see where, especially with my 15-year-old when he's being a total snot, where I'm like, "But there's this, you're going
Mhm.
to," like, he is the most caring
Yeah.
and conscientious of others. And I'll say to him, like, "You're gonna be an amazing dad."
Yes.
And it gives him something to aspire to. He has
Right.
that in him. And we all
Right.
have this amazing amount of untapped potential that we don't see. And if
Absolutely.
we could see it, I think we would be awestruck. And that's who we are
Right.
at our core.
Right.
So when we just, and that's why it's so important to find connections within people and things that we want to work on, because then we're just digging at this
Mhm.
heap of trial and sadness and all the things that are hard, right? It's
Yeah.
and we dig and we uncover a bit more of who we can be. And then
Yes.
when we find that, it's like if you're digging for treasure and 2 feet down you find a piece of gold, you're not gonna be like, "Gold, bye."
Yeah.
You're gonna say, "Oh, I found a coin. I'm gonna keep digging."
Yeah.
10 minutes later, you find another coin, you're not stopping.
Right.
You're going to keep going, and as you go and unearth more and more of these just really amazing parts of yourself, you're gonna turn around 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and just be like, "I had to dig through a lot of dirt and a lot of hard, but
Yeah.
look what I found."
Right.
And that's the prize. And I
Yeah.
think when you're doing that and when you're striving to become, that is when the money will come.
Oh,
The
yeah.
success will come. The relationships will come. The friendships will come because people are attracted to people who are living, like you said, in their strengths. If we all just lived in our strengths, and did
Yes.
our best, everyone would be like, "You, all the time." Yes. And we
Mhm.
know those people. We wanna be
Mhm.
with them all like, I just wanna hang with you all the time.
Yeah.
It's because they know who they are, but they're constantly trying to evolve.
Right.
And it's inspiring and it's transformational, and that energy to just be more and to be happier, we see that, we want it, and we can have it.
Yes.
But society says, "No, you can't." Or the adverse I call him Satan. Satan says, "No, you can't. You can't have that." And I'm gonna give you comparison. And I'm gonna see, have you watched things on social media or on the news that says, "No,
Mm,
it's not even worth trying. You can't have that." It's a lie.
right.
You can have
Right.
it, and it's inside yourself. It does
Right.
take work. But when you get to that point, and you should just, there are points, and I think we forget, and we spoke about this last time a little bit, like celebrating our wins that are just small. If
Every
we can just stop every once in a while and be like, "Okay, I'm not exactly where I wanna be with my physique, but I've been at the gym 6 days this week, and I've done really well with this." That's a win, and it's
exactly.
getting you closer, but it's acknowledging that that work, just because you're not at the goal doesn't mean that you're not making progress, and I think
Exactly.
we forget that. I think we forget to say, "Oh, I'm getting closer."
Yeah. Well,
And the
I think
next
part of it is
thing
the
is growth.
instant gratification part, right? Like
Oh, for sure.
everybody, it's everything is so much about instant gratification that when it takes a little bit longer, it's harder to see. And then you lose hope, right? It's like, ah, I can't do it. I'm not seeing the results or whatever. And so I think that I can't remember the guy's name. I know Caroline Kane, she's mentioned him before. 1%. All you have to focus on is just moving 1% each
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Think about that.
It's the
So
power of
even
one more. It's the power of
exactly
one more. Ed
right,
Milet,
Ed Milet. I
Ed Milet.
love his book. Yes.
I want him to adopt
One
me.
more push. One more you
I'm like, he's like maybe like 10 years older than me, but I'm like, Do you wanna be my dad?" My dad's great, but like, I could listen to him all day long.
Oh
But
God,
but
yeah.
it is, it's just push yourself a little more.
Right.
And is that one more set at the gym gonna change your world? No. But that one more set proves to you that you can do it. And then the next time you're
Exactly.
like, "Oh, I can do one more than that." But
Exactly.
then if you're a bit of an overachiever, it gets to be a little detrimental because you're like, "I'm gonna do 75 squats today." And people in the gym are looking at you like, "Can you get off my squat rack?" And I'm like, "But I did 73 yesterday, I gotta do 74 today." And then you can't walk downstairs. But
Or go to the bathroom.
or getting down is hard.
Exactly. It's like, oh, and then once you're down and you try to get up, it's like, oh, yeah,
It's
I know.
walls
I've
for
done the
leverage.
squats.
It's
Not
walls.
not that many. I don't think I've done that many. Now I feel like I should try. I should try. No, but I think one other thing, because I know we could totally just talk for 3 hours. We've done it. But I want to be mindful. One other thing that I thought of as you were sharing, um, we all have a part of the divine in us. At
100.
least that's what I believe. If
Yes.
it, not everybody's religious in any way, which I think is a loss to our society. I think that's part of why we don't why we have so many problems, because we don't have a center,
Right.
whatever that could be, call it whatever you want, but to have something above you that's outside of you, that is always there, that is the truth, the beginning, the ending, everything in between. You can
Right.
call it whatever you want. But that has given me strength in the hardest times that I've had.
Oh,
And right.
can you imagine?
And
Can you imagine where would you be? And I'm
exactly.
sure you've thought about this. Where
Oh,
would
yeah.
you be? Because I'm going to call it what I know it to be. And for me, it is my savior.
Yeah.
If I did not have that guiding force in my life, I do not know where I would be.
Yeah.
And in those moments, and the past few years have been very hard. Like our life has been turned upside down. And in those moments, when you know that, for me to know that I am a child of God, that I am made in his image, and to be able to read scripture and reach to someone who has overcome the world,
Yeah.
to have that peace of there's someone who has gone through it all for you. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. And it makes me think of the movie Hook, where, I mean, Robin Williams.
I love
I
him.
also always wanted him to adopt me as well. Um, I just I do you remember the part where he can't remember who he is and he wants his kids
Yes.
back? And she says, "Don't you know who you are?"
Hmm.
And if we said that to ourselves,
Yeah.
where it's like, "I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I'm not this." Stephanie, don't you know who you are?
Yeah.
You are this potential. You are this light. You are this soul. You have this purpose. And
Right.
sometimes we lose it,
Yeah.
but it's never because he's left us.
Right.
That's the caveat. It's never because he's left us.
Yeah. Right. It's part of this, the human struggle. I think I said that earlier, right? We have our own self-doubts, and
Right.
there's not just what's in our head, but then what we hear and see all around us.
Mhm.
And not everybody is fortunate to be raised in religion at all. So then it's really foreign to them, and you know, it everybody that I know well enough, I'll say, that hasn't had that, it there's been even more struggle.
Right.
Right. So, to think about the goals and the struggles that we go through, and the fact that, yeah, you can set these goals that are just outside your reach, because the thing is, if you do that, you do, whether you believe it or not, you do have that capability within you.
Right.
And if you just stretch a little bit more, you'll see that. And that is the true way to build self-confidence. It's not to be told you're great. It is to prove it to yourself how
Right.
great you are, how you have achieved this one goal after another goal after another goal. And it's not to say that it was perfect, because there's no such thing as perfection. I
Right.
learned that as an adult,
Right.
because I'm a recovering perfectionist. I at least I'm trying to be a recovering perfectionist.
You're
I
so
have
close
to
to
keep
perfect
saying it. I have to keep saying it over and over again, right? There's no such thing as perfect, but I can certainly strive for
for
the
your best,
ideal,
for
for
your
the exactly. Maybe I can be just a little bit better at this thing if I do one more, if I try an hour longer, right? If I practice one more day a week. Just think of all of the potential, right? It comes back to that, right? It's the potential. We set these goals, and the way that we can achieve them is by uh, thinking about just what kind of actions could it take. You don't have to have the whole thing figured out to get
right.
started. That was something that I really appreciated about Pace very early on, when I joined the community, was the fact that he says, take the uncomfortable action,
Right.
fail forward. Oh my God. That was just like, fail forward. I don't want to fail.
Yeah.
But then when he's,
That's kind of the goal, is not to fail forward or at
right,
all. Right.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is it's like, wait a minute, you're giving me permission. Like, I now have permission to take this uncomfortable step where I'm probably going to screw up, but it's okay because it's a part of the process. That's what we do. And we actually do it as babies, right? We wobble, right? We keep falling, we finally get up, right? We don't just stop not trying to get up and walk. We keep trying to get up and walk. And
Right.
that is the whole, that's your whole life right there.
Right.
Just trying to get up and walk and take that next step, doing the thing that you haven't done before. Of course, you're not going to be perfect at it because you've never done it before, right? And it's so funny how easy it is to tell somebody else that, but we're not willing to give ourselves enough grace to tell ourselves that, right?
Well,
Every
I
word
think
I told you, I've told my son, but I yet have to tell it to myself on
right.
occasion.
Well, and I think like one of the biggest ways is it's hard to be like, "Oh, I can do it and I can think positive and I can." That's a hard place to get to for a lot of people. I'm in a bad spot. The think positive is not going to work. What we can do though is get to a point where we're taking out the negative. And I'm
Yeah.
reading a book right now. It's so great. It's It Takes What It Takes, which I
Mm.
love cuz I always I talk to my kids about this or my dad, and it sounds so silly, but it does. Like, oh, they finally figured this out. It takes what it takes, and it takes trial and failure and effort and this. It takes what it takes. But in this book, he talks a lot about it's not about getting to positive, it's can we just get to neutral?
Yeah.
And a lot of ways to get out of the negativity that we don't even realize.
Yeah.
And so I'm I gave this to my kids this morning. I said, "We are not doing negative." So, we all have negative thoughts. We cannot control that. It happens. But
Right.
when we say something out loud,
Yeah.
it gives it there were like numbers on it that brain doctors had done about studies where it's like if you say something out loud and it's positive, it has 10 times the effect
Mm-hmm.
on your psyche and how you feel. If you say something negative out loud, it has 40 to 70 times more effect. So even if it's like, okay, Stephanie, you may have doubts about, I don't know if I can do this, or why is my pad split taking so long? If we can just not say it out loud
Yeah.
and reaffirm to our brain that that's a thing, that that's an
Yeah.
option, that that's a this. And then also taking out the negative in our lives. How many, and I've just been noticing because I've been reading this book, how many songs do we listen to that are this happened, my life stinks, things are so bad, I don't have this. I
Yeah.
80% of songs on the radio and almost all country music is gone.
I was going to say
She took my
somebody done somebody
dog.
wrong song.
Yeah, she took my tractor and my dog, and I'm sad and alone. And then you don't even have to replace it, but if you can, like, news makes us angry and sad.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
meant to.
Yeah.
Take it out.
If it
Play
bleeds, it
I
leads.
created for my kids, even TV shows where
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh, and the family's always fighting. Ha ha, isn't it funny? They're demeaning the parents, they're disrespecting their mom."
Yeah.
And we're choosing.
Right.
That's the thing. Is it's not like this is happening to us. We are choosing to turn that on. We're choosing to listen to this.
Yes.
So I created a list today. I'm like, these are shows you can watch, kids. And I created a playlist. It says positive vibes only. And they're
Yeah.
all songs where the words are uplifting or positive or confidence or
Yes.
overcoming. And I'm just going to test it.
Yeah.
But I can tell you the outcome's not going to be negative.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Oh no, I've even had that conversation with my son where he, he's complaining about something and it's just one thing after another. And I would finally say, because first I'm trying to fix it, right? Because I'm a
Right.
problem solver.
Right.
So I try to fix it, and then I'm like, one complaint after another, I start to feel I'm going down. I'm going down. And it's like, okay, you are sucking the energy out of me. I cannot take the complaining.
And
I
we feel it.
understand.
It's
Exactly. I was like,
they're saying you
literally,
can feel that energy.
yes, yes.
Whereas
I
if
have
you
said,
get
I'm
in
like,
a
I don't
room,
think you realize this, but I am going, I was up here and now I'm going down this, and I go, it's all because one complaint after another I'm hearing. I can't do that. Like, I'm not saying don't share what you're going through or all of that, but it's like, you at least need to prepare me
well,
when I
and there's
walk
a
in
big
the
difference
room.
there's a big difference between I'm feeling this way and I'm concerned and just
Yes.
I hate this, this sucks, this is no good.
Yes.
There's a huge difference. But like
Yes.
one of the things I've learned, and I mean, I have lots of kids, is when that energy is just like that. And it's hard when with a disabled
Oh,
husband who's been sick for 4 years
yeah.
because that energy is always there. And we have to be
Yeah.
careful and we have to be quiet and we have to be aware. And it builds tension.
Yeah.
And so it is in those moments where I do what we call dance and pray because they're two totally, we don't do it at the same time. That'd be weird.
Oh,
Um,
I was gonna say I have to see this.
but no, but like that's how we deal with these
Yeah.
things. And so if the energy is low and we just feel like we can't, I'm just like, Alexa, play dance party. I don't care what's happening. My older kids hate it. They're super embarrassed. I will shimmy and shake it. I do not care. And the more embarrassed they are, the harder I go.
Yes.
And you know
Yes.
what? 3 minutes in, everyone's dancing. The energy is better.
Yeah.
And so we have that on one hand when it's like, that's what we need. But there's sometimes we need a different kind of lift and we
Yeah.
dance and pray. So, like,
Right.
those are our things. I'm going to put it on
Yeah.
a t-shirt and copyright it.
There you go.
That's trademark. I'm going to
You
trademark.
should totally, yes,
Oh, I'm
make
in
the
talks.
t-shirt.
I'm in talks. But like it changes things.
It does.
Find those things for anyone listening, find those things
Yeah.
that make you feel good. There's a reason getting outside makes you feel good. There's a
Go for a
reason
walk.
that good music and a dance party there's a
Yes.
reason people like it. There's a
Yes.
reason people pray because it changes that energy and it changes how you feel and look at your world and at yourself.
Right.
And it changes your
Right.
life.
Yes.
And it may seem small now, but when my kids have their kids and they're having a hard day, they're going to be like, turn on Hall and Oates. Because that's what my parents listened to. I danced to it as a little girl. And I'm like,
That's
nothing's
so
going to stop us now. And I'm a little, and and my kids will be we're having a hard day,
yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Tell grandma, see what she says. I'm going to go with Hall and Oates. Like, or I'm going to go with, we have to find those things that lift us. And it can be different.
Yeah.
Use my things, find your own, but find something
Right.
and make it a
Right.
priority. It will change your outlook, and your outlook changes your attitude, and your attitude changes your
Thoughts.
behaviors change
Yes.
your life.
Yes. Thoughts become actions, right? So
Right.
be very careful. I've talked to my son about that as well, where you you have to think about and be very careful with what you allow in.
And
I
it is a
at
choice.
service,
It
yeah,
is
at
a
service
choice.
years ago, Rabbi was talking about that, where the scripture talked about having guard at your gates. And what she said was, it's not just guard at your literal city gates that you want to have to keep the bad elements out of your town, but to have the guards at the gates of your mind, because the
Yeah.
mind
Right.
controls everything else.
Right.
And if you are letting in that negativity all the time, then that is what you're going to see everywhere that you look. That's what you're going to feel. That's what you're going to have. If
Right.
you let in constant violence and horrible pictures,
Right.
sounds, music, anything. If you're letting that in, if you're listening to it, if you're watching it, you are consuming it. Your
Right.
brain is taking that in and it will have some kind of impact. There
You
is
can't
all
do that and
kinds
then have
of
peace.
data.
You can't have both.
Right.
I
There
told
is
my
all
son.
kinds of data on that.
Right.
Yes.
No, I told my son this morning because it's the 15, 16-year-old thing, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
he keeps saying, I wish I had bigger muscles. I want to be stronger. And I went out this morning and he's eating pancakes and then complaining to me that he doesn't feel good and he's not getting stronger. And I said, you can complain if you're doing all the things and you're
Right.
frustrated. You may totally voice that to me.
Yeah.
You may not complain about not reaching your goals when you're not taking any of the steps to reach your goals.
Wow.
I am
Yes.
going, and I said, I'm going to the gym.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to the gym, I need to have something that feeds my body. So I am going to drink a lot of water. I mean, so I'm hydrated. I'm going to have a
Yeah.
protein shake that's lean, that gets me the best so that I can do the best so I can get closer to my goals.
Exactly.
I said, so if you're doing all that and then not seeing results, we can have a conversation.
Right.
But you cannot complain to me if you're unwilling to take the steps to get to your goals.
Right.
And
Exactly.
then we had a
It,
conversation.
well, I mean, how did it end? Like, did he see any of that or
He did, but he's 15 and just likes to complain,
right,
you know? And
right, yeah,
and and I think it's hard when, especially teenage years, there's a lot of hormones and they take everything personal. And I said, this is not about you. But Parker, if I want to learn to swim and I refuse to go in the pool because I don't like getting wet, am I going to be a good swimmer?
yeah,
And he's like, well, no, you got to practice. I said, okay.
right,
So it's completely different if I'm swimming every day and I'm in the pool for hours and I'm not getting better,
yeah,
then we can reevaluate and
right,
get extra help or extra support. But if you're not willing to take the steps to get the goal,
bingo,
then then there's a disconnect there. So it
right,
ended well once I made it about something that was not something he's doing. I
and
was
yeah,
trying to relate teenage boy things. You can't say I want to get better at basketball and then sit on the computer all day.
right, yep,
So
yep,
I said,
I
I'm
know,
trying to get better at XYZ. What am I doing? And he's like, well,
right,
you read these and you do this and you do this, which is why I'm getting better. And then I
right,
get more confident in it. And then I try harder. But if you're
yes,
unwilling to take the steps, you will never reach your goals. And
bingo,
so do not set goals that you're unwilling. If you don't care enough to make it happen, then you're just going to set yourself up for failure. Find a
I
goal
know
that you
people that have
actually
done that,
want. Yeah.
right,
But then
right,
they don't take the accountability. It's not their fault.
yeah.
It's, oh,
Well,
well,
they wonder why it's not happening,
yeah,
right? So I think that's a very good point. And that was something that was very frustrating to me as I was growing up. I would see people close to me, they would set these goals, but there were no actions.
right.
And it's like, okay, well, yeah, I still don't have that big house yet, but someday I'm going to have that big house. Well, how are we going to get the big house? I don't know. I'm going to win the lottery. Okay, so are you buying a ticket every Wednesday and Saturday? Oh no, I'm not buying the ticket every Wednesday and Saturday. Okay, so then how are you going to win the lottery? Like there was just right.
Right.
I think this is so perfect for like, we might have gone a ways around, but we're right back to where we started with the goals. You can set the goals, but they
Mhm.
need to be goals that you are willing to do the work for. And you've
Right.
got to start looking at what kind of actions you're going to take to reach those goals. Otherwise, you're not going to have that 1% a day. You're not going to get any traction. You're not going to make any progress toward those goals. And the only person you have to blame is yourself.
Right.
That's it. That's the cold, hard, ugly facts, the brutal
Right.
facts, as I can't remember the author's name for Good to Great, but he would say you have to be willing to face the brutal facts if you
Mhm.
want to get to the source of the problem, right? You have
100%.
to know what you're really dealing with so that you know what to fix
Right.
and where to go from there.
Right.
Yes. Okay, now one other thing, and then I'm going to let you go. But I
Okay.
remember hearing you talking about a boutique hotel. I think that was part of your
Yes. Yes.
goals.
Um,
Yes. How is that going? And then I promise I'll let you go.
so that is a long-term goal. Like
Yes. Okay.
it's a couple years out, which I knew. Like, but
Okay.
that is a goal. I am actually partnering on some small development deals with the woman who will be my partner in that boutique hotel. So we're
Okay.
partnering up to do some yeah, some small midterm and then new development things on vacant lots that she already owns. So we're looking for PML for that, and it's great because they're already properties she owns
Okay.
and she already has like the money to back it up. It's a great
Yes.
situation. So we're doing that smaller just so that we can work out. You don't want to take on a huge project first time with a new partner and
Right.
a huge project.
Right.
So we're setting up a partnership right now and feeling our way and finding our roles and defining
Yeah.
our roles so that we can kind of get this system set up. She has her role, I have mine. We have a GC, we have a designer, we have this team we're
Yes.
building, and we have an area that we have a ton of research data on and boots on the ground on. She lives there.
Nice.
So this is our first foray into we are partners. Do we work as well together as we need
Yeah.
to then have a huge project?
Right.
All signs point to yes.
Yeah.
Um, we mesh really well together. We have a similar vision, but we attack it in different ways. So it
Yeah.
really just works well together because we have
Yes.
different perspectives, but the same conclusion at the end. And so we're able to
Right.
poke holes in any of the just things where it's like, what could happen? How could it happen? What about this? How does this work? Because we're different, but similar goals, values, morals, principles.
Yeah.
We know what we want. We may get there a little differently, but then I'm able to see and just be safer in what I'm doing. And the same for her
Right.
and to just check our standards and check
Right.
our processes. So, yeah, it's still a thing. I have 2 or 3 people who own properties in Puerto Rico, which is the first place we're looking at, who are like, "I wanna sell a hotel in a couple of years," and I'm like, "I'm your girl." So
Yeah.
I'm constantly in that. It's a back burner thing
Okay.
just because I don't want to fail forward in a huge way with a hotel. I wanna work out the kinks.
No,
It's working out the kinks first.
dating, right?
Yes,
You've got to do that. Like
yes,
yes, yes. You've got to pick some smaller things. And small is relative, right?
proof of
What's small
concept.
to
It's just
me
proof of
might,
concept.
right? But you need to pick something that you and this partner are going to be comfortable with testing the waters and
Correct.
starting to build the processes, the structures that you would need to take the next step to another big project, to then an even bigger project. I mean, we do that personally with ourselves, right?
Right.
uh Jerry Norton talked about that at Squad Up, where your risk tolerance, you can push that, you can change that as you solve problems, as
It
you step,
evolves.
right, you step a little bit outside of your comfort zone to solve this problem, you get good at that, comfortable with that, now you pick another thing and another
Right,
thing, and as you grow and you're stepping more and more outside of your comfort zone, your risk tolerance changes,
yeah.
right? You've seen more, you've done more, well, if we're doing that for ourselves, then we would do that with others as well, right? We have to know, is this going to be really a good fit? Get that proof of concept on smaller deals, on smaller projects, and then go big after
Right.
that.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the boutique hotel is you're taking steps towards making
Right.
that happen. I
Right.
love it. Now
Yeah.
you mentioned Puerto Rico, and that triggered something with me. It are isn't
You want
there
to go to
supposed
Puerto
to be
Rico?
a retreat happening in Puerto Rico?
Yes. So that is what we are doing with Trailblazers is because before it was Katie and she was pushing and steering and doing all the things.
Yeah.
Now that she has me and Caitlin, we are looking at kind of a rebrand, relaunch, getting all those things in line so that we can be like, here's what we're presenting. We
Yes.
don't
Okay.
want, I don't want to put something together that feels just slapped together and been like, this is going to be fine. I mean, it would still be a good time for sure.
Of course.
Puerto Rico with a bunch of friends. That's never going to be a bad time.
Right.
But I want to make it not just a good time, but to have the people there, to have the experiences in place to where we're able to connect on deeper levels as women and to help each other in those places where we want to grow, to have other women there that have excelled in those places so that we can kind of cultivate different groups within the group of you need more of this. We're
Mm,
going to bring this. We want
okay.
to grow here. Therefore, we're going to pull someone from here. And
Mm,
so this is one of those areas where just I like people and communicate well and connect with people. This is where I'm good
yeah.
because I'm good at saying, Stephanie didn't tell me this, but she's looking, she needs something like this. I'm going to bring that.
Yeah.
And and so I really want to, I would rather wait a little bit and put together something that is so incredible that it's transformative, not just as
Yeah.
investors. Because
Yeah.
one of our things that I kind of said out loud, and then I was like, this is how I feel about Trailblazers. Because it's a women's investing group. It is.
Yeah.
That's what it is
Yeah.
at its core. But I want to focus on we are women first, investors second.
Yeah.
Because we can't be good investors if we don't feel good with who we are as ourselves, as women, as wives, as moms, as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. So we're really seeking to create something that builds women in all ways.
Hmm.
And then, like we said before, the success will follow, the relationships will follow, the money will follow. But we want to build something that changes their lives and raises their levels
Mm,
personally, physically, mentally, emotionally, so that
yes.
they're just better, so that you walk away and say, that was a good time. And also, these are people I want to know for the rest of my life. And I learned things that will change my life. Like, that's what I want. I want to help women change their lives. I want to help women recognize their potential and say, I can do that.
I
And
love it.
if sharing myself, my struggles and how I'm overcoming them and being vulnerable is how that happens, then so be it. If
Mm,
bringing in other people who have gone through these things to help us rise together, then that's what I want. So it will happen. I but the perfectionist in me, um, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I think it can be beautiful and educational and something that yeah, that just builds and transforms and lifts us.
yeah.
So,
Wow. I mean, you're probably going to need to start a wait list because people are going to be like, sign me up. I cannot wait.
I'm like, "Oh, it's so sad. I had to move to Puerto Rico because 'cause I'm just running retreats." Karianne lives a sad life.
Oh my
No, but
gosh.
like
I
that's the
love
goal.
it.
I don't want to do it alone.
Yeah. Right.
It's not worth anything if we're doing it alone.
Right.
I don't care if you have $10 million and you're alone, you're not happy.
No.
But if I can use the platform I build, I'm writing a keynote and starting to speak on stages, and I have all these things in the works because real estate is amazing and it is the vehicle that's going to get me there, but the place that I'm going to get to, and my like big goal, so I'll wrap it up with this. My big goal is to do what I can to change people's lives on a level to where they just realize their potential. And that potential is under the heart. So
Mm,
if I can guide them to that potential and whatever it looks like, because the best way to find the way forward is to ask the person who's coming back.
yeah, exactly.
You want to know what that path looks like? Ask me because I'm on my way back. Find
Yeah.
the person on their way back. So if I can be your way back,
Yeah.
then I'll get you through it. So my big goal is in this next 6 months, we're going to do that with Trailblazers. I'm going to launch my own podcast and I'm speaking on stages and in digital summits. At
Yeah.
some point, there will be a book. Um, but
You
I'm
heard
also
it here, ladies and
I'm
gentlemen.
I'm also still in that space where there is still struggle,
Mhm.
and I want to become the best version of myself so that I can help people become the best version of themselves.
Yes.
That's
I
the goal.
love it.
That's the goal.
That's beautiful. That is so,
Thank you.
not that you need me to say anything one way or the other, but I love that. That's exactly what I've been looking at is how can I provide value? Right. And I've heard different ones. I've heard Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins and you're saying, and I've heard different ones talk about the fact that it's not about trying to be the expert in everything. It's not about um I can want to tout myself as this guru of something. I can speak to what I've been through, and
Right.
that's going to help somebody that is a month behind me, 2 years behind me, whatever that may be, right? And as you were saying that, hope, right? We talked about there's this hopelessness right now. And we can solve that by providing just a little bit of guidance, just a little bit of light. Like,
Right.
look, I've been through that. I've been through this and this and this too. And look at where I'm at,
Right.
right? I am an example of the fact that yes, it is hard. Yes, things are going to happen that suck, for lack of a better word.
It
And you
is a
know
word
what?
that works.
It the thing is that you can come out of it though.
Right.
And you can have that little bit of hope knowing that I've been through something, you've been through something. We can share that and
Mhm.
share the hope that yes, you can come out of it. It's not the end of the world. I remember telling my son that as well. He was struggling early last year, and I'm not gonna give away his story. I think that's for him to share. But part of those conversations was the fact that, you know what? We've all been through difficult times.
That
We've
is
all
that is
had
life.
those struggles,
It is
right? That is part of life. But guess what? There is, and I go, I know it's hard to believe right now, but I promise you that a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, you're going to look back and you're going to have a different perspective on that. You're going to say, that felt so hard that felt hopeless. That felt like I was not, I did not see any way out,
Mm-hmm.
except a very negative way out. But guess what? I found a different way out. It was hard. I took it one day at a time, and I did these things. And now look, that was like a little blip. That felt like that was my whole life. And that was 6 months of my life, or whatever the thing was, right? And, to fast forward, just to close the loop on that for my son, that conversation, I asked him a year later, okay, it was hard a year ago. It was really hard a year ago. How do you feel about things now? I have more confidence now than I've ever had in my entire life.
And it's going through it. And here's the thing that no
I
one
have to
thinks
go
about.
through it.
You have 100% success track record because you're still here. You've made it through everything that's ever been thrown at you. You've made it through.
Yes.
So
Right.
they talk about batting averages and what's your percentage of success in business? How many deals do you close?
Yeah.
You've made it through 100% of everything that's ever been thrown at you. And that's pretty dang good.
I love it. Mic drop. Right there. We can just end it right on that. Now, how do
Oh,
people get a hold of you though? Like seriously,
um,
that's how we should end it, because people are going to want to know about how to go to Puerto Rico and join the women's trailblazers. Like, you got a lot of stuff here that you're
got
putting
a
out
lot
there.
of
So
stuff.
how do they
Um,
get you?
Follow me on Instagram, Karianne G Klomp. There's no other Karianne Klomp. You're fine. Um, Trailblazers on Facebook. We're getting a bunch of other stuff, like I said, as we
Yeah.
get the foundation built. But right now our Facebook is where we're posting events and what we're doing. We have a weekly newsletter that goes out. We have Monday night Zooms, and we're just increasing our bandwidth as we set to kind of like relaunch and everything.
Okay.
So yeah, Facebook, Instagram, I'm there.
Love it.
I'm there.
Thank you so much. I know this was way over the 30 minutes that I planned originally,
You knew it
but
would be.
I know. It worked out beautifully though. There's so much good stuff here, and I really hope that when we post this, let's get some feedback. Please, people, tell us what resonated with you most,
Yes.
right? What really maybe did a mind shift for you? And we're happy to talk more about it. I'm happy to
We
talk
are.
more
Yes,
about it.
we are.
Right. So let's do it. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Stephanie.
Take care.